Good evening, everybody out there in Chester County and on my Facebook page. Coming to you straight live is none other than me, Brother Fine, your host on City Town Talk. And let me tell you, I got a barn burner this evening. Now, let me explain something to y'all. What's getting ready to happen to y'all, you'd have to pay, you'd have to drive somewhere, you'd have to leave the comforts of your house to get this information that's getting ready to jump off. But you know what? Because Sam, who is my nephew, ladies and gentlemen, so it's a family thing too. He's going to give y'all and provide y'all with some information that is going to be invaluable. That's a lot of syllables, but it is invaluable. So look, my viewers out there, you know the drill. I want you to share this video, tag me on it, because I want to make sure I get in touch with all of, let's see, I want to make sure I get in touch with the video so we can do our comments. So Iris Holmes, if you're out there, Kim Pollard, if you are out there, do me the, oh, there you go, Yasmin, she shared the video already. Yasmin, I appreciate you, thank you. Who else? I want to get something on this one. Boom, Bella, oh man, we got 6 people viewing already. That's a beautiful thing. I'm going to read Sam's bio. Now look, a lot of y'all know when I read the bios, I don't usually read the whole bio because sometimes it's so long. Some of them ain't as interesting as others. But because we have a lawyer on here this evening, you need to hear all this. So y'all just sit back and chill and let's make it happen. Samuel A. Anyan is a partner at the Cochran firm in Philadelphia. And Cochran, meaning Johnny Cochran. If it don't fit, you must have quit that firm. Okay, prior to joining the Cochran firm, Sam served as a law clerk to the Honorable Lisette Sheridan Harris, 1st Judicial District of Pennsylvania, and enjoyed a successful career as an attorney at a major insurance company, as well as at a prominent products liability boutique firm. Mr. Anyan is known for his superior preparation and courtroom skills, obtaining stellar results for his clients. Sam strives to give his clients the compassionate, caring, personal service, and attention they deserve. Sam earned his bachelor's and master's degree from the George Washington University in 2005. Mr. Anyan received his Juris Doctorate from Howard University School of Law. Mr. Anyan earned his LLM degree in trial advocacy from Temple University School of Law in 2008, graduating with honors. Sam presently represents clients injured due to defective products, motor vehicle accidents, medical malpractice, premises liability, police brutality, and construction site accidents. Now that just about covers it all. Now I'm telling you, this man, he does it all. So look, Sam has been featured on MSNBC as well as a number of nationally circulated publications. He was also named a lawyer on the Fast Track 2011 by the Legal Intelligencer publication. I got a nerve to read that every now and then too, Sam. An honor bestowed to Pennsylvania's top lawyers under 40 each year. Since 2012, Mr. Anyan has been named a super lawyer, rising star by the Super Lawyers publication. In 2017, Sam was named a member of Philly Labor's Who's Who in Injury and Injured Workers Advocacy, receiving a citation from the City Council of Philadelphia for his honor. Sam has a history of leadership within the National Bar Association and its affiliates, the Barrister Association of Philadelphia. Mr. Anyan is a current Region 3 director, having served also as Region 3's deputy director and secretary in past years. Mr. Anyan has also served the Barristers Association of Philadelphia as an appointed board member. Sam is committed to the youth of his community. He serves as a board member for the Big Dreams Leadership Academy, a nonprofit that teaches life skills, study skills, accountability, self-esteem, and good citizenship through the game of basketball. Now, I want to read some of his noteworthy settlements, because this is what we really want to know, and we can keep it real, right? When we're talking about a lawyer, we want a nice settlement, and we want people to give us our justice. Some of his verdicts that he has won is a $2.5 million awarded to the estate of a car accident victim, $2 million awarded to the estates in a double fatality pedestrian accident, $3 million awarded in the wrongful death of a 19-year-old girl, $5 million awarded to an injured steelworker, $2 million awarded to an injured steelworker, recovered a confidential sum against the Veterans Administration for HIV misdiagnosis of a Purple Heart Vietnam War veteran, resulting in severe emotional distress. Shucks, I should have hired you when I came back from Nam there, Sam. Hey, man, look, first I want to say it's good to have you on this evening, man. We're going to delve into some Q&A. But first, I'd just like you to just introduce yourself and say a few things to the fans out there in Coachville.
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Anyan. I proudly lived in Coatesville for about 5 years, from about 2012, from about 2007 to 2012. So I'm very familiar with the area, the people, the culture, the environment. I enjoyed my time there, and I frequent there to see family and friends. As Fonz has said, Mr. Newson, I represent people who've been involved in who've been injured due to no fault of their own. That includes auto accidents, slip and falls. That includes medical mistakes that doctors make. That includes products that people sell that are defective. That includes police brutality, and that's a hot button issue right now. We've handled several cases along those veins. Any of those areas we handle, we're here to help. Personal injury is the field where someone is injured due to no fault of their own. We've also dealt with cases that involve drug liability. You take a drug and it has an unknown side effect that they didn't warn you about. We handle those cases on a class action and mass tort level. So for any of your personal injury needs, I'm available. I'm here. You meet with me personally. I handle all of your cases personally. I can be reached by cell phone. I can be reached by email. Two-parent household. I got a brother and sister. I was involved in sports growing up. Played a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball, played a lot of football. Had an interest in the law because my grandmother was the victim of nursing home neglect. And I saw what that did to our family and how hurt we were because of that. And I got involved in the law because of that. Wanted to help people, help the disenfranchised. Went on to George Washington University. I played basketball there, Division I basketball. I had fun with that, and basketball has become an integral part of my life, my family life. I coach my sons, and that's part of who I am. After that, I went to law school, Howard University School of Law, HBCU, and had a great time there. Worked with a lot of great African-American legal scholars from across the country. Some of my friends are some of the top lawyers in civil rights and in all sectors of the law. So that's a little bit about me.
That's good stuff. Okay. Now here's the highlight of my knowing of you is when and where did you propose to your wife?
Yes, my wife, Malika, we've been married 13 years, my beautiful wife. We proposed, we were on a game show, Deal or No Deal, back in August of 2006. And proposed on the game show, won a little bit of money as well. And that was a lot of fun for all of us.
Now, can you imagine that? Can you imagine Sam on his knees? Because I saw the tape. Can you imagine him on his knees and she said no? You don't want that money, she'd be like, no, never mind, I'm good. Yeah, man, that is classic. That is classic. And I'm glad that you shared that. Yasmin, it is good to see you this evening. I want to thank you for tuning in and sharing this. Now, Sam, we got some questions here.
Sure.
I think we need to fire them away. Now, remember, viewers, if you have any comments, you want to say hi, you got any questions, by all means, you just put them in the comments section, and we'll ask Sam in real time. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Now, the first thing I seen that we're talking a lot about slip and fall in here, but the first thing I want to do is because I've been in an accident before. What should a person do if they're involved in a car accident?
All right, there's several things you should do if you get involved in a car accident. If you find yourself involved in a car accident, number one is you want to secure the vehicle. You're in traffic and someone hits you from the back. You don't know how much damage has been done to the vehicle. You don't know what kind of damage has been done to the gas pipes and the jet fuel. You want to turn the car off or secure yourself away from traffic. So if you're able to move the car to the side. If you're not able to move the car, turn the car off and secure your person. Make sure that you are not a danger to traffic, or that traffic is not a danger to you, rather. You also want to make sure you are okay. You want to do a self-examination, check yourself from head to toe, maybe look in the mirror if you have one, check yourself out, make sure your occupants are okay. All right, once you have secured that, if you're able to step out of the vehicle and secure the vehicle, you want to exchange information with the other person once you have made sure that you yourself are okay. You want to take photographs of the vehicle in its current position if you feel that the collision, the happening of the collision may be in dispute. You want to exchange information with the other driver if you can do that amicably. Sometimes in car accidents, the tempers are flaring. If you can't talk to them peacefully, wait in your car, call the authorities, let them arrive, get your insurance information together. You want to get your registration, your driver's license, your insurance information, all of that together so that you're able to give that to the police when they arrive. You also want to make sure if the police don't arrive, in some jurisdictions, some counties, police officers do not respond to the majority of car accidents. You want to make sure you get the license plate of the other vehicle. You want to make sure you have the registration of the other vehicle, whoever owns the vehicle. You want to make sure you have a picture of the driver's license of the operator of the other vehicle. You want to make sure that you have taken photographs of the damage to your vehicle and the other vehicle before departing. Once you've done that, if you feel that you do have some lingering issues, you want to make sure you seek medical attention. All right. That can be by way of ambulance to the hospital. That can be later on that night if you want to drive yourself, or a loved one can take you to the hospital to check yourself out. That's very important, especially if you've hit your head in a vehicle or there's been some traumatic impact to a part of your body You want to make sure that you have some attention and some x-rays taken. You also want to call a competent attorney, all right, especially before you speak to the other side's insurance company. You don't want to call another insurance company who doesn't have your back per se, and you say something that may later hurt you. So you want to call a competent attorney who can give you some advice. You have some questions about the accident and help you avoid the pitfalls of talking to the opposition's insurance company. And you certainly want to report it to your insurance company and let them know that you're involved in an accident, because there are certain benefits that you get from being in a car accident. Everyone in Pennsylvania has something called personal injury protection. Personal injury protection, at a minimum, provides about $5,000 in medical payments are available to you, so pay your medical bills. So don't be afraid to go to the hospital if you're involved in an accident, thinking that you don't have the money for an emergency room visit. You actually do. Your actual car insurance will pay those bills for you, up to $5,000. That may include an emergency room visit, a visit to your primary care physician. That also can include physical therapy for 1, 2, 3, or 4 months. It may last, I've seen, that long. So you have money available to you if you're involved in a car accident to treat you for your injuries and to make sure you get better.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, I want to acknowledge Anthony. It's good to see you this evening. I appreciate your loyalty. Walt Washington, Puerto Rico, and EJ is on the set. You know I got to give y'all a wave. Now, if you have any questions, y'all, and you know about some legal stuff right here, he's the man. Ain't no need to letting him go. And then you be like scratching your head talking about, I wonder if. So, Sam, I appreciate that. Now, let's talk about some slip and falls. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen out in the audience, we're going to talk about some situations in regards to slips and falls. You're gonna give me some. Now, don't go out there playing no slip and no fall. Now, this is don't start no stuff, all right? But he's gonna explain all this stuff to you. So I'm gonna ask these questions as we have them down here. Okay, Sam. Number one. So where are some of the most common places to slip and fall that you have found in your business?
Yeah, the classic slip and fall cases involved when it comes to homeowners. So you and I own a home. It snows outside and you don't go out and shovel your snow or put down salt on the sidewalk. Someone walks on your property, they're walking by, and it's the sidewalk that's adjacent to your home that's on your property. You don't salt or shovel it properly. They slip on ice. The law says that you are responsible for hazardous conditions on your land, all right? We derive our law from the old feudal system, the old English feudal system, which says that landowners are responsible for the upkeep of their land. So if you don't salt or shovel and there's ice on your sidewalk, someone slips, they jump up in the air after slipping and they break their neck, you're responsible because the law says you have to reasonably remove the snow and put down salt to remove any hazardous conditions on your property. That's one involving a homeowner, the everyday person. Other classic examples of slip and fall liability include commercial entities. So you walk into the grocery store and Margaret is at the grocery store with her son, Johnny, and Johnny has a cup of juice in his hand and the cup of juice spills on the floor. Well, the grocery store, Giant or Acme, has a responsibility to clean up hazards on his property and in the aisles. Why? Because they invited you there to shop. So you would be considered what's called a business invitee. Business invitees are owed the highest duty known to law. So if someone invites you into their establishment, a restaurant, a sports arena, a grocery store, any establishment where you're invited in for commercial purposes to buy something, to watch something, to lease something, they owe you a responsibility to make sure their premises is safe and that you're safe from any harm or defective conditions. So slipping on a banana peel at a movie theater or slipping on water or ice. You go to a grocery store and they have those freezers that have ice in it, and the freezer has defrost that's leaking out from the base of it, and they don't have a wet floor sign down, and you slip and fall, they're responsible. So those are some classic examples of slip and fall liability and where you might find liability and get hurt, where you might find some responsibility on a business. Fonz, I've lost the sound.
I'm sorry. What are some immediate steps that should take place after an accident?
Which kind of accident?
Well, like if you had a slip and fall in a grocery store, what would be the immediate thing that you would do after that?
Yeah, okay. So you're in a grocery store and you slip on a wet substance and you fall. The first thing is not to get up right away, all right? If you fall, you might be hurt. So the first thing is self-examination. Examine yourself, pay attention to your body. Your body will send signs if you're injured or you're hurt. Don't rush to get up right away, okay? Especially if it was an unexpected and a violent fall, that's not something you want to do. So check your person out first. If you're with someone, have them also visually check you out. You want to look around and find out if there's, try to determine what it is that you slipped on, all right? If you need medical attention and you have a phone on your person, before getting up, you should call for medical attention, medical help. If there's someone in an establishment, if you fall at a grocery store, you fall in some commercial entity, you want to call for help from a manager or something, all right? You want to identify what's on the floor, what caused you to slip and fall. You want to check your person out. You want to make a report while you're at the establishment. Wherever you are, you want to seek management. You want to make a record of the fall. All right. After you've made a record of the fall, you want to make sure you seek medical attention if at any reason you're not feeling well. That's, after leaving the establishment. You want to call a competent attorney and get one right away. And the reason is, in cases dealing with slip and falls, there's a situation called notice. Just because you fall on someone's property doesn't automatically make them responsible. The law says that if a defective condition exists on someone's property, that property owner or landowner has to have reasonable time to mitigate that hazardous condition or to do away with it. So if Johnny spills juice on the floor and then you walk behind him and you slip and fell, well, then the grocery store may not be responsible because they didn't have time enough to clean it up. But by video camera footage, we can show that some of these conditions may have existed for an unreasonable amount of time. Johnny was in the supermarket with his mother at 3 p.m. after school. You fall at 7 o'clock. that juice or that hazardous substance was sitting on the floor unattended to for 3 or 4 hours. Now they're responsible, but we're sitting there for 30 minutes. It's a question of reasonableness when it comes to notice of a dangerous condition. So you want to make sure you get to a competent attorney so we can get the video footage and we can prove notice right away. That's the key part of any case.
Okay, good stuff. Now, what evidence will they need to receive compensation for a slip and fall accident?
Well, we touched on it a little bit. We have to prove notice. We have to prove that whatever dangerous condition existed, it existed for an unreasonable amount of time. Another classic example is you're walking down the street and you trip and fall over a crack on someone's sidewalk. All right, a crack is considered uneven or unlevel elevation of concrete. So one piece of a concrete is depressed down, another piece is compressed up, and you slip in between the cracks. Well, we've proven negligence there because by the naked eye, you could see that there was a deviation, or there was some unlevelness to concrete. All right, so we're looking for evidence of neglect. We're looking for evidence of, hey, you knew this was a dangerous condition and you should have did something about it. So getting in contact with a competent attorney, calling me right away will help because we can get on that to preserve the evidence to help you win your case.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, what if I get hurt in a slip and fall accident at someone's house?
Right, so you're at someone's house and you're at a party and you're walking down the steps and you got your hand on the handrail, and for some reason the handrail's not tight and that the handrail comes off, you slip and fall and you roll down the steps. Well, someone's homeowner's insurance policy will cover you in those circumstances. They may have something called med pay or medical payments, where regardless of fault, they may pay for your medical bills. Most people have provisions of either from $1,000 to $10,000 of med pay benefits if you fall on someone's house. Doesn't mean you're suing them. Just means you fell on their premises. You're still qualified for what's called med pay or medical payments. Now, we can prove that it was the result of neglect, then you have a case against that homeowner.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about liability on governments and the federal government. What happens if a person falls on a sidewalk or other public property that is owned by state government, local government, or federal government?
All right. So this gets a little tricky. So if you fall, generally, state governments, municipalities, they enjoy something called sovereign immunity. What sovereign immunity means is that you can't sue the king. So in old English times, you weren't allowed to sue the king for grievances that you had that was a property owned by the kingdom. All right. Same thing involves here. So if you were walking down the street and you slip on property that's owned by the city of Coatesville, the city of Coatesville will be responsible under certain conditions. Those conditions, it must be a defect of the premises, not on the premises. What that means is you can't sue the city of Coatesville for water on the ground. Why? Because water is not of the premises. It's not the concrete. All right. It's not the pavement. It was placed there. You can't sue for a banana peel on a sidewalk, but you can sue for cracks. You can sue for defective fixtures on the ground, meaning sometimes people cut stop signs, and there's a little bit of the pole from the stop sign that's protruding up and you trip and fall over that. You can sue for that. So it has to be of the premises or of the fixture. It can't be something that was placed on there artificially.
Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, now what if the property owner denies he is responsible for an accident or for you falling?
Right, so that's a classic litigation question. Most times in slip and fall cases, there's going to be two defenses. One, a person slipped because they were clumsy. They weren't watching where they were walking. They tripped and fell on their own. They didn't have the right shoes on. It was raining outside. They had on rubber shoes that were slippery. They didn't have the proper attire on. They weren't paying attention. They were on their phone. The the defect was open and obvious, meaning you should have known to walk around the defect. So if you're walking down the street and there's a big gaping hole in the middle of the ground and you step in it, you may be responsible for your own injury because you should have known to walk around it. So that's a common defense. The other common defense, that's called called comparative negligence. All right. So although the other person may be negligent, they may say, "Yeah, but you were negligent as well. You should have watched where you were walking." That's one defense. And the other common defense is the notice issue. Hey, we didn't have enough time. We didn't know this was a defect. This was a latent defect. We wouldn't have known but for someone getting hurt. The average person wouldn't have known that this would cause someone to hurt you.
Okay. All right. So what if I was trespassing or my child was trespassing when the fall happened? Who is responsible?
Well, you're not generally responsible for trespassers on land. All right. You don't owe as big of a duty, but you do owe a duty to trespassers for any known defect. You wouldn't be liable to a trespasser for an unknown defect. So the law gets a little murky there, and it changes. So I'd have to look at that situation on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Now, what happens if I fall down or a person falls down in ice or snow and is injured?
Yeah, ice or snow, you have to have a reasonable enough time to remove the snow. For all you homeowners out there, don't worry. If it's still snowing or there's an ice storm out and there's hail out and it's still actively snowing, or the rain is still actively coming down, you're not responsible for removing snow or ice accumulation as soon as it happens. You have to be given a reasonable amount of time to remove it. So what we typically do is we hire experts at AccuWeather to determine how much time it took for ice to form, how much time it took for the snow to fall down, and how much time between the time you fell and the time the last snowfall happened to determine the reasonableness of the defect or the hazardous condition.
So is there a certain amount of time that you lawyers or people in litigation will say, okay, you have all that information? Do they say you have 2 hours, 3 hours, or is it like a gray area in there?
Well, I'd say from the last drop of a snowfall or ice accumulation, I'd say you have a few hours to remove it. I mean, if the last snowfall fell at 3 p.m. and someone falls at 4 p.m., there's an argument to be made that you didn't have enough time. But the more time goes by, the more you want to have done something. Especially, well, this is the problem with modern day. All right, no weather is a surprise now. I mean, we know what the weather is going to be up to 14 days out. So you've been getting you would have been given plenty of warning that snow was coming down, that an ice storm was coming down, what the weather would be, what temperature the weather would be at the various times. You just look at your smartphone or you watch the weather report. They can break it down hour by hour. So the liability time, I think, is shortening at this point. It's getting shorter because there's so much information out there that a prudent homeowner will know, hey, it's going to stop snowing at this time. I got to get out in a reasonable time. Mostly overnight. If it stops snowing overnight, you probably have a couple hours during the daylight time. But if it stops snowing at 3 a.m., I would suspect that someone falling at noon may have a case, but someone falling at 6 a.m. would be a tougher sell.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how will my case be resolved after a slip and fall accident?
Well, your cases can be resolved in two ways. You hire a lawyer such as myself, and you slipped and fell, and you went to physical therapy. We gathered your records. We proved the notice requirement. We sent your information to the insurance company. Most cases we can settle out of court. Now, some slip and fall cases are very intricate. They involve very detailed fact analysis and testimony. We may have to file a lawsuit and resolve it in the court system. But 90% of cases settle one way or another, as long as the basic elements are met or can be easily proved.
And what's the turnaround time on those? I say, like, if it's a simple one, is there like a certain turnaround time when that's usually resolved?
Yeah, typically I'd say that your first opportunity to resolve your case is normally 60 to 90 days after you finish treating, meaning that you feel back at your baseline. So when you don't have any more doctor's visits related to your injury, you've seen all the doctors you needed to see. If you broke a bone, the bone is healed and you have the cast off and you're back to your baseline. Figure 60 to 90 days from then is when we'll have our first opportunity to resolve the case. We'll talk to the insurance company, show them the records. If we can't solve your case at that point, we can't settle your case at that point in time, then we'll file a lawsuit. Lawsuits typically take from start to finish, if they go through the full litigation process, it's about a year.
Okay, here goes an interesting question. I fell on my neighbor's steps and she lives in a rental property. Who pays my bills?
You fell on your neighbor's steps and they're in a rental property. Well, there's a twofold question. One, if the person where you fell is renting, most landlords now require renter's insurance. So the whoever's occupying that home, their renter's insurance will pay your medical bill. If the rental insurance is not available, then the homeowner may be responsible under certain conditions. The law says that a landowner out of possession doesn't have as much of a duty. So if I'm renting a home to a tenant and the tenant doesn't shovel the snow, and it's in the lease that that tenant was supposed to shovel snow, I may not have as much responsibility because I'm out of possession. I wouldn't know that they didn't shovel the snow in time to have prevented your end.
Hey, let me ask you a question. We'll get off of slip and falls for a minute. What do you find is your more complicated cases that you have to defend or that you have to litigate for?
The toughest cases are products liability cases and medical malpractice cases. And I'll tell you why. Medical malpractice cases and defective product cases are the most difficult and complex because the defendant, the tortfeasor, their reputation is on the line. Anytime you sue Johnson & Johnson or you sue General Motors or you sue Ford Motor Company or you're suing the makers of baby products, their reputation is on the line. And so they're not only defending your case, they're defending the technology, they're defending the design, they're defending their manufacturing process, the whole gamut with your case. So I give you an example. I represented a gentleman who lost an eye. He had a power drill, and he used the power drill malfunction, and it caused the nail to ricochet into his eye. Well, the maker that was a major manufacturer of those power drills. If it's found that that power drill is defective, they're going to have to recall millions of those power drills. They're going to lose tons of revenue, and their reputation will take a hit within the industry. So those cases are hotly contested because their whole methodology is in question. Same thing with a doctor. I get a lot of calls about medical malpractice cases, and a doctor actually has to sign off on paying you. A doctor almost has to admit that they were negligent in some way for you to get paid. And a lot of doctors, rightfully so, feel like they did the best they could do. They felt like they did a great job. They don't readily admit negligence, wrongdoing. They don't readily admit that they botched a surgery, they did something wrong. So those are hotly contested cases almost all the time. So in most situations, the medical malpractice cases that we take, someone either has a permanent injury, meaning it can't be fixed by a subsequent surgery, or they died. Those are kind of our criteria. If there was a medical mistake that has cost you a permanent injury, they cut off the wrong leg, they took out the wrong kidney, they cut off the wrong breast, or they misdiagnosed you and you have terminal cancer and there's no reversing it. Those are pretty much the cases that we handle. Cases that can be fixed by another surgery. Someone put a hip replacement in and it didn't quite fit right, but they can fix it with a surgery. Those may not be the best candidates for medical malpractice because they're hotly contested anyway. And your window for the pain and suffering you went through is as great as a permanent injury.
Thanks. That's real good. Okay, here goes a scenario. I don't want to sue my loved one slash friend, but my medical bills are piling up. Is there another alternative without suing my loved one slash friend?
Well, you know, it's interesting because the public believes that when you file a lawsuit, it's true that when you file a lawsuit, the other person is named in the lawsuit.
Mhm.
So I'm at my uncle Fonz's house and something happened and I have to sue him. I have to use his name and my own name in the lawsuit. But in reality, you're really suing the insurance carrier. They're the bearers of the financial responsibility. So don't feel so bad. You may want to have a conversation with your friend or your loved one to let them know it's not personal, that you're making a claim because you've been injured both financially, which we call economic damages. You couldn't go to work, uh, can't do the same job you could do before or after your injury, and non-economic damages. You suffered a lot of pain and suffering and mental anguish. They have to understand that by law you have a right to recover and be compensated for that. And if they're a true friend, they can understand that you have to take measures to protect yourself and your family and be made whole.
Good stuff. Now, I want to take you pre-lawyer stuff. What made you want to be a lawyer?
Well, what made me want to be a lawyer, that's one of the things we talked about before. My grandmother was the victim of nursing home neglect. She had actually been dropped by the nursing home and had 3 fractures in her pelvis. And she was left really to die. We didn't realize that she had suffered those injuries until after her death. So that was one of the reasons, is that I wanted to be a voice for those that needed a voice. I wanted to be an advocate for those families that needed an advocate. And that was kind of the driving force for me. I also, believe it or not, I'm a big fan of Denzel Washington. I liked his role in Philadelphia, if you've ever
Oh,
seen it.
yeah. Yeah,
He
that's
was a
good.
great advocate. So, growing up, I never liked bullies. I look at insurance companies, I look at these big companies as bullies. I always wanted to protect, the little man, those who are disadvantaged against those who would bully them. I wanted to have a voice for the common man, the common person. And that's why I got involved in this.
Good. So, what were some of your biggest obstacles and challenges on your journey to be who you are right now?
Well, with everyone, one of the, a big issue. Well, for me growing up, I had a stuttering problem. Believe it or not, I'm a trial lawyer. I give speeches in front of judges and law clerks and the public, trying to persuade people. And I had a stuttering problem growing up, so I worked very hard to overcome that, and that was a great personal triumph for me to. Um, to fix that impediment, that speech impediment. And I'd say that's probably one of my biggest challenges. The bar exam is tough. I mean, you crank 3 years of what you learned in law school into one exam. You got about 6 weeks to study for. And so that's it. I mean, personal challenges, believing in yourself, those are all great things that you have to overcome to be who you are.
So, what part did faith have in your journey? I like to always ask everybody that comes on because when you embark on some things that you've never done before, I'm sure that there's a certain amount of fear and apprehension, things of that nature. So, what part did faith have with you on your journey to where you are?
Yeah, the biggest part I think faith had on my journey is that I always know I'm a child of God. I know that through my faith in Christ, I can do all things because He strengthens me.
Yeah.
And so I always knew at the end, above all else, no matter what happens, that I was going to be okay. And I think that carries the day. I knew that God had given me certain gifts, even at a young age, that I would fulfill His purpose. And as long as I was in His will and in His purpose, I knew that He would see me through. So faith has played a role in giving me that ultimate confidence and power that I know I can go out and represent a family with a lot of pressure. You lose a loved one. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of a loss at stake. There's a lot of pressure, not only from your law firm, but from those who are expecting, justice. So I know that with Christ, I can do all things. And that has been my rock. That's been my strength.
Good, good, good. So do you have any goals that you haven't achieved or some goals down the line that you wish to achieve? You want to share that with the viewers?
Yeah, some goals now that we have is, we really need to change the world and provide true equality for us all. I think we all have been watching the news lately, and we see that there needs to be reform in policing. Policing our streets. Our people have been disproportionately affected by the current laws, qualified immunity being one. And what qualified immunity is there are certain hurdles that you have to overcome to even hold a police officer or a municipality responsible for unjustified shootings, unjustified deaths. So we have to, as lawyers, we have the ability to influence lawmakers, to influence the courts, to change laws to make people's lives better. My children shouldn't be afraid of police officers. They should trust them. They've been sworn to protect and to serve. But our people have been treated badly in so many parts of the country. We get countless cases. You see on TV, some of the more egregious cases where someone's shot and they're killed. But I got old ladies who come to me have broken arms, broken limbs. People have been treated badly, slammed to the ground for frivolous traffic citations, walking on the wrong side of the street. I just saw a situation in Tennessee the other day. So one of my personal goals is to do all I can to help change some of the laws, litigate these cases, make it safer for the citizens of Coatesville, Chester County, for all of Pennsylvania, so that our people are safe. Our people can feel confident that if something does happen, that they will get justice. So one of my goals is to do my part.
I like it. I like it. For my viewers out there, Sam has already represented a few clients here in Coatesville, and he's been met with great success. I want to thank you for allowing me to zoom into your room. But before we close, I always like my guests to just have a parting comment, whatever it is you would like to share with the viewers. I want to afford you this time for you to be able to do that. Then we'll say goodnight to you. Then I'll kind of like address them one-on-one, but just share something from your heart that you would like your viewers to know.
Yeah, I'll come from a faith perspective. Jesus came so that we would have life and have it more abundantly. Walk boldly in everything that you do, have confidence in everything that you do, and know that if something happens to you or a loved one, I'm available to assist you, to help you, to be an advocate, to be a friend, to be a resource to you. If you find yourself in need of justice, and that justice may come in the form of compensation, may come in the form of a law needed to be changed, it may involve a doctor that needs to be held accountable for a mistake that was made that would detrimentally affected your family or loved one. So I'm here. I'm a friend. I'm a son and brother, nephew of Coatesville's finest. Contact me. I'm here to help. Fonz can get a hold of me. You can find me at the Cochran firm of Philadelphia. You can find me on my hotline, 215-639-9751. You can reach me on my cell, 267-456-7059. I'm also on social media, Samuel Anyan or Sam Anyan ESQ on Instagram.
So ladies and gentlemen, no longer do you have to go through life going through some changes and some things, accidents and occurrences, and feel like you don't have a lawyer. You already have a lawyer. All you got to do is make that call. You don't have to wander around aimlessly thinking about what am I going to do, who I'm going to call. You're going to call him, not the Ghostbusters, but you're going to call Sam Anyan right there. Hey, Sam, I appreciate you once again, man. I am honored. Man, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to share all this information with our viewers. I want to bid you good night, and we'll talk soon. How about that?
All right, Uncle Fonz.
Before we go, it was a great virtual birthday for your wife.
Yeah, we had a great time, and thank you and your lovely wife, Donna, for all of your birthday wishes and for participating in that birthday celebration. thank you for all you do for the people of Coatesville. You are lucky to have Fon's new son to assist you and to bring you the public, this public service. He's doing a great job. He has a heart for the people of Chester County, for Coatesville, for the youth. You have a gem in Mr. Newson. Continue to do the work you're doing. I'm proud to be a part of it, proud to be your family. All right, love you. Have a great evening.
You do the same, man. Thank you too, man. You made my head get big.
Talk to you later. Talk to you later, man.
All right. Crystal Jones Lowry, how you come in here all late and everything, Crystal? It's good to see you this evening. And of course, you can catch this on the replay, which I will do. We just entertained, we were given information, inspiration, and some education by Sam Anyan. Once again, I want to thank you viewers for viewing in. I was supposed to have Dr. Shay Barnes on tomorrow night, but she had to fly to Atlanta with a client of hers. And it's so good that we know people that came from Coatesville, have gone other places and are doing big, beautiful things. Well, I'm going to bring her to you Friday, not Thursday, but Friday at 8 p.m. That's Alvenia Barnes' daughter. Everybody know Alvenia. She's a legend, a good friend. And that's Alina Barnes' grandbaby. So look, I want y'all to tune in Friday. Remember, go online if you don't have your census and figure out how to fill out your census. For every person that doesn't fill out a census, we lose 2,000 in education, 2,000 in funding. The equation's there. The big thing is fill out the census, register to vote, and then go vote. And before I leave, it was a travesty what happened in Louisville, Kentucky last night. Here, I'm gonna get on my soap opera just for a second. And in Louisville, Kentucky, they had one polling station where 600,000 people, not 60,000, but 600,000 people had to go into one polling station to vote. In other words, like 600,000 people had to go into Rainbow School. I mean, it's bigger, but still 600,000 in one building in the course of a day was absurd. It took 30 minutes for people to park, and it took forever for them to vote, and the doors locked on a lot of people that were still in line. Just thankful that they weren't to be deterred. They banged on the doors, banged on the windows, and they said, we want to be heard via the ballot box. And they opened it up, an injunction. The judge had an injunction. They opened it up and they went in to vote. That's how important this voting thing is. I know we're kind of complacent and comfortable up here. I want to say up north. Up around this way, we're real complacent and laissez-faire in regards to voting, like it's no big deal. But if you look into places like Wisconsin, Georgia, Louisville, all those places, North Carolina, that take voting seriously, they stay in line for 5 and 6 hours because they understand the importance of their voices being heard. I'm praying that we, the members of Coatesville/Chester County, understand this as well and register to vote. We're going to have a get out the registration drive soon and very soon, and then we're going to get out the vote. We can't play this year. It's too important. We have to vote like our life depends on it, because if you look at COVID-19, you see that it really, really does. Now I got to go because I got to go. Nobody told you that they love you today. Me, Brother Fonz, my baby K's love you. And I just want y'all to remember that Coatesville is rising and Black Lives Matter. Peace out.